Berkeley develops Jewish-free zones. Yes, you read that right. I didn't know how to make this video. Berkeley, the same university that had the free speech movement in the 1960s, where they challenged the campus regulations limiting their free speech rights. Same university. Not ironically, this comes days after Representative Rashida Tlaib said that you can't be progressive and support Israel's right to exist. And 9 law student groups at Berkeley took this to heart. And this, so ironic, this means that law school dean Erwin Chemerinsky would be banned from speaking to these student groups. The dean, but also impacted is 90% of the Jewish students who are studying law there. And of course anyone like myself who's not Jewish and also a Zionist. And this is somehow progressive. It has been a century since Jewish-free zones first spread to the San Francisco Bay Area. It wasn't long ago as we as humanity saw signs like this in that same area. Nevertheless, this news seems frightening and unexpected, like a bang on the door in the night.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. The tolerant left is back at it again, showing us how much they believe in your constitutional right to free speech, except they actually don't. They're always showing us that they want to take away your right to free speech. They want to control your thoughts, right? That's what they want to do. And if you say the wrong thing or you think a wrong thing, then you will be punished for it, okay? And these are the same people who love to call people on the right Nazis, okay? Associate people on the right with Nazi Germany. However, we have a story about some ultra woke student organization at UC Berkeley whom are getting blasted for creating so-called Jewish free zones with pro-Israel speaker ban. So I want you guys to understand that you have woke student organizations at UC Berkeley who are creating Jew-free zones. Jew-free zones. How much do you guys want to bet that these organizations probably would agree when somebody labels somebody on the right or conservative, somebody that disagrees with them politically or Republican, a Nazi? I'm pretty sure they would probably go along with that and say, yeah. That's totally an accurate description, right? That's what they would say. But these people are on the side of the political aisle that is creating Jewish free zones, allegedly. And this comes as Democrats, progressive Democrats like Rashida Tlaib are escalating the rhetoric in regards to the ongoing Democrat civil war involving supporting Israel versus Palestine. And Rashida Tlaib is essentially giving the ultimatum here to so-called progressive Democrats to say that if you don't support Palestine, then you are not progressive.
You all to know that among progressives, it has become clear that you cannot claim to hold progressive values, yet back Israel's apartheid government. And we will continue to push back and not accept this idea that you are progressive except for Palestine any longer. And these changes, these victories are really due to the work of all of you and so many others that continue to speak truth to power. When we center our beliefs and our actions in the truth that all human life is precious.
Yes, all human life is precious except for the unborn, right? It's amazing how Rashida Tlaib realizes the value of human life when it comes to protecting her own people, right? But when it comes to, protecting babies and kids, not necessarily sure how precious human life is at that point. Again, pretty fascinating how this works. But according to Rashida Tlaib, essentially you have to agree with progressives 100% or you're not progressive, right? This is a litmus test, okay? This issue of Israel-Palestine. You have to be pro-Palestine in order to be pro-progressive. And apparently these student groups at UC Berkeley got the picture, right? By essentially banning pro-Israel speakers, again, and creating what they calling here, quote, Jewish free zone. So let's read about this story that, again, only could happen in the progressive/regressive era of the United States history, in which we become so progressive that we are regressing ourselves back to Jim Crow, okay, the early 1900s. So let's get into it. The University of California, Berkeley was slammed Friday for creating, quote, Jewish-free zones after 9 student groups adopted a rule forbidding pro-Israel speakers at events. The controversial bylaw, updated for the new academic year by a pro-Palestinian group on campus, says it aims to stop the spread of Zionist beliefs. So here we go. Classic censorship of speech that I don't like. But see, if the shoe was on the other foot, if somebody tried to ban pro-Palestinian speakers from coming on campus, people would say that's Islamophobic, right? That you're a bigot or racist, okay? That's what they would be crying. But to do it to Jews, though, who's technically classified as a minority group, by the way, it's social justice. Totally fair game. Totally fair game. According to the woke. Quote, the organizations will not invite speakers that have expressed interest and continue to hold views, host, sponsor, or promote events in support of Zionism, the apartheid state of Israel, and the occupation of Palestine, states the bylaw written by the Berkeley Law Students for Justice in Palestine. But the policy, which also effectively bans the school's Jewish dean from speaking, was promptly slammed as an anti-Semitic attack on free speech in an environment that's supposed to welcome diverse voices. No. Only diverse faces, okay? What they mean by diversity and inclusion is not diverse thoughts. It's not diverse opinions. It's simply diverse faces. They want the same opinion, but just from different faces, okay? That's what they actually really want. Quote, Berkeley develops Jewish free zones. Writer Kenneth Marcus wrote in an opinion column for the Jewish News Syndicate, if it wasn't so frightening, one might be able to recognize the irony in the sight of campus progressives trying so hard to virtue signal that they fall victim to a deep moral shame, he fumed. The school's dean, Aaron Chemerinsky, who himself is Jewish, criticized the rule, saying it stops him from speaking at the events. Isn't that ironic, right? Isn't that ironic how this rule, right, essentially stops the dean from being able to speak to students at events, right? The dean can't even speak because the dean supports Zionism, because the dean is Jewish. Again, these are the people that claim to be fighting against racism, but they're pro-segregation. They're pushing segregation. Quote, it is troubling to broadly exclude a particular viewpoint from being expressed, he told the Jewish News of Northern California. Quote, taken literally, this would mean that I could not be invited to speak because I support the existence of Israel, though I condemn many of its policies. The bylaw notes the goals of banning pro-Israel speakers is, quote, protecting the safety and welfare of Palestinian students. Campus groups that adopted the rule include the Berkeley Law Muslim Student Association, Middle Eastern and the North African Law Students Association, the Women X of Color Initiative, Queer Caucus, Asian Pacific American Law Students Association, and other groups also adopted it. All right, so here's the thing. The dean, who effectively got banned from these woke progressive student organizations, he is basically coming out here and saying that there are no Jewish free zones on UC Berkeley's campus, despite being banned by these woke student organizations from speaking at their events. However, he's coming out here and saying that's fake news. And the reason why he's saying it's fake news, guys, is because only a handful of student organizations adopted it. Fewer than 10 out of 100. So let's say 5%, right? 5% of the student organizations said we're banning Jews. Apparently that means that it doesn't exist, right? It's not a thing. It's misinformation. It's grossly misleading, okay? He says that, well, you know, only just a few organizations adopted it, so it doesn't really exist. Even though these people are clearly trying to ban me from speaking at events because I have beliefs or opinions that they don't agree with, I'm going to defend them, right? Instead of saying that there should be zero tolerance for this, right? There should be zero tolerance for this. No student group should be doing this. Any student group that is banning people based off their religious belief, their sexuality, their color, their sex, their gender, whatever, that's wrong. And we should just agree that that's objectively true across the board, right? Not just for so-called people of color and other so-called minorities. That should just be true for everybody. And he claims in this article here that he doesn't support it, but at the same time, he's trying to deny that it was actually policy that was adopted on campus. Which again, it to me sounds like he's low-key trying to excuse it. Trying to, you know, take the heat off these organizations, which should definitely be criticized for pushing such a heinous policy like this, right? Again, that's the problem. They want to play soft with these people. You can't play soft with these woke folks, man. You can't be soft with them. These student organizations should have been immediately suspended, okay? They should have been suspended for even adopting something like this. No warnings. Because again, if it was a white group, or if it was a group that said, hey, we don't want any blacks, right? I bet you there would be zero tolerance for it. That the group and their activities would be suspended and put on an investigation. That's exactly what would happen. But because the student groups that are doing this, victims, oppressed, we just got to pretend like it's not actually happening, right? Just pretend like they didn't really do it, right? They don't want everybody to be on an equal playing field like they claim, right? They don't want equality. They don't want equal rights. They want special rights. They want special rights and privileges. That's what they want. They want to be able to discriminate against others, but they don't want to be discriminated against. Again, it's amazing how this stuff works, right? It's amazing. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.